that's where I actually found out what I was doing all that time was Feng Shui. I didn't know what it was called.
Welcome to Winning with Feng Shui. Join me, Candace, a certified Feng Shui practitioner, for a chat with Feng Shui experts from every walk of life. They'll share their inspirational stories of helping themselves and their clients achieve winning results and success using Feng Shui. Hey guys, today I'm so excited to have a very special guest, Carolyn Penn. So Carolyn is a 5th degree black belt master instructor of martial arts, Tai Chi and QiGong for the past 20 plus years. She started her martial arts training with her eldest daughter, who wanted to become a pink Power Ranger. During these years of training, she discovered how empowering this was for both her daughters, who would also move on to become black belt instructors. Carolyn began her informal yet intuitive Feng Shui studies at the young age of just 9, when she witnessed many family troubles in which she used to distract herself by moving the family home furnishings around. Carolyn then became a certified Feng Shui professional through the Intrinsic School of Feng Shui and is a current member of the International Feng Shui Guild. Carolyn has always been highly intuitive, artistic, and creative. She finds her ongoing practice and mastery of Tai Chi and QiGong to be a natural fit with her passion for Feng Shui. As a Feng Shui expert, Carolyn can do more than tell you where to hang a crystal. With her expertise, she can hang it for you. Carolyn's approach is to build a trusting relationship between her and her clients by actively listening and seeing what is most important in their lives. Her clients experience and understand easy and clear consultations and presentation. She takes the time to understand the cause behind the cause and the cure behind the cure with each project. Carolyn enjoys traveling the world, being a self-proclaimed wine sommelier, ballroom dancing dabbler, and of course, adult coloring, which I love too. Spending time with her husband, who is also a 30 plus year veteran, master of martial arts, Tai Chi and QiGong, as well as a life coach and creator of the Perspectives program. She's a mother of 2 brilliant, bold, and beautiful daughters, and Theodore, who is her 4-legged son, who enjoys naps, squirrel hunting, and nightly walks, and happily greeting all the neighbors. Welcome, Carolyn. I'm so happy to have you on.
Hi, Candace. So good to be here.
Yes, I'm excited. So one of the things that I was really excited to talk to you, and that it seems that it's not really that I have a hard time finding, it's that I have a hard time finding somebody who practices Feng Shui and also martial arts. As you probably know, it's encompassed in that whole system of the 5 arts of Chinese metaphysics, and so it really does all go together, especially like the internal with the Tai Chi, and I think especially with the Qigong. So let's start with your Feng Shui journey. Let's talk a little bit about that first. How did you start doing Feng Shui?
Well, really, I didn't know that I was actually doing Feng Shui. It was just as a child, I was paying attention to my surroundings and trying to, I guess, make it more comfortable for my mom, my brother, with a lot of things going on in the house that weren't always so pleasant. And I think that, just moving things around and experimenting as a child, you just start to learn and feel a sense of this looks good or this feels good. You can, what makes you happy, what is not making you happy. And I think also it's, I wanted my mom to come home and feel, see a house that was, nice and clean or organized, to make things easier, I think, on her, so that's where it kind of started. And I always thought that I wanted to be an interior designer. And so I didn't go on that route at first, but I did go and like do exploring into schools and universities and things like that. And that's where I actually found out what I was doing all that time was Feng Shui. I didn't know what it was called. But anyway, make a long story short, I didn't go in that route to pursue interior design, but on my own, I've learned interior decorating, Feng Shui, and organizing, things like that. So that's kind of where it started. And then um, when the pandemic hit, it was I got laid off from my job, and so it was just a good opportunity for me to take that time to go to school because I hadn't, I was raising two girls, family, had my own, our own business in the martial arts, and I was working for another company at the same time. So it was just a lot of juggling and just really never had time. So I just made the time because it was kind of forced into it, you know, you know, with the pandemic.
Yeah, for sure. It really has changed a lot. And I mean, I know I've talked to quite a few people. I mean, they've lost businesses, they've lost jobs. I mean, it's affected people very greatly, you know. And so you had talked about during this time you kind of made a transition also in your where you were living. You kind of changed. You recently moved, you said?
States. Yeah. Yeah. So with the pandemic, our business did unfortunately close.
Mm.
We just didn't feel safe and having a lot of students in our school. Um, and it was a big span to not have things operating. So with the girls being, our girls being grown, we just decided that why don't we just, try something new? So we did end up moving. I learned a lot from the move. It's been almost a year that we've lived here in Little Rock, Arkansas, and we love it. And so, as with everything, you give and you get a little bit with everything that you're doing. You do, So yes, we did lose a lot. We gave up a lot, but we also gained so much because I feel like this is the right place for us. This is, I feel very comfortable here. It's a beautiful state.
Yes, yes. I know a lot of the what I've noticed too is, yeah, we do have things that are beyond our control, pandemic situation, all kinds of stuff that force us in our life to get out of that comfort zone. But I think least, less resistance
Yeah,
to that,
yeah.
choosing to shut your doors, choosing to move, choosing to change something in your life. I think it shifts that perspective, where can we focus? I mean, I shared this with another interview I did the other day. My husband's business was also affected. He still is in the same business. Luckily, of course, he hasn't had to, to shut his door. He just has a small office space that he doesn't,
Right.
it's so luckily he hasn't had to make a transition and to change jobs or anything like that because he's self-employed. But it really does. You can very much feel that depression. You can feel sad. You can, of course, those things are all very real. But I mean, I think we can allow ourselves to feel that and then shift into, okay, well, how can I come out of this? What can I do now? How can I change? What is this? Where's life taking me now? You know?
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
it was sad to move from a place that I lived there my whole life. So it was a big change, but I embrace this change now. I really, I open arms, and I'm with learning about myself, learning about my environment. It's a whole new environment for me. So it's another way of growing my business. So I'm learning about a new environment. So
Mhm.
that also comes with feng shui,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
environment and your surroundings and things like that.
How have you been able to use your experience with like feng shui and also with qigong, martial arts and stuff like that? How has that helped you during your transition time? How do you feel like it's helped you during the time of so much change?
Well, with Tai Chi and QiGong, uh, it centers you.
Hmm.
It You are working from the inside out.
Yes.
It's not out here; it's on the inside. And so when you are doing feng, Tai Chi or Qigong, you are connecting with the earth, you're connecting with your surroundings, you're connecting with yourself. And so you're not letting all the stuff that's going on around in the world, especially in the last year, year and a half, to penetrate you and get under your skin per se. So it's really helped ground me, or continue to help ground me. Um, because, picking up and moving your whole life to a whole new state that you know nothing about can be a little bit shocking. It's like traveling to Europe. If you've ever been to Europe, you're kind of like, wow, this is different. Or traveling to the Orient, because that's definitely a big change as well. So when you're picking up your life and moving into a new environment, if you have something that you can go to every day religiously, um, with exercising, or whatever it is, if it's Tai Chi, QiGong, or maybe it's yoga, or you go to the gym, as long as you have something that you are doing for yourself on a daily basis, incorporating meditation as well. Um, I don't think you can go wrong. You can't go wrong when you're doing something for yourself first.
Yeah, I agree. And what I think the running theme of everyone I've interviewed and other practitioners I've just even talked to, everyone agrees, I think, that, you can set your environment and do your feng shui. And I feel like I'm so repetitive on this, but
Mhm.
it starts in here, and whether you're doing like the qigong or martial arts or tai chi, or, there's other, modalities that I've seen the
Mhm.
practitioners we've talked about using. It really it does start in there, and so I just think it's really
Mhm.
amazing that that's what you use. I've interviewed another practitioner that does Tai Chi, and that's I really want to get into Tai Chi. I just have not.
Mhm.
I have not, like, it's when you watch online, it's a little harder than doing in person. Of course, coming out of the pandemic, I don't think I'm brave enough yet to go to like a formal class. And so, we're still kind of transitioning to that, but that's one thing I would love to incorporate into my daily practices is like Tai Chi. Um,
Right.
yeah.
Just want to say that, for my husband, he still teaches online. He still teaches on Zoom. We
Oh,
still run our
nice.
classes. So Saturday mornings
Hmm.
for Tai Chi, that's when we have, our classes, and it's very successful. People seem to have, don't seem to let, it not being, live per se in the same room, get in the way of it. It seems like it still
Mm.
works just as well.
Yeah,
So
see, I
just
haven't
putting that.
tried to do, yes, thank you. So I haven't tried to do
Mhm.
like a live class. I guess what I'm referring to is just videos online where you kind of watch from I feel like those are a little harder because sometimes the
Which arm do I
instruction,
use?
yes, yes, yeah. And so, yeah, I will definitely reach out to you because I'm interested in checking that out. I'm
Okay.
definitely
All
interested
right,
in
great,
that.
great.
Yeah. So you do, again, you guys do teach martial arts, Tai Chi and Qigong. Tell us, how did that journey start? You mentioned you started with your daughter.
Yeah, she was at a studio, and well, no, she wasn't at a studio yet. I was just talking to a girlfriend of mine, and she said her son, started martial arts classes. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Crystal, she wants to be a pink Power Ranger, So that's really how it started. She just started doing it first, and then within a couple months, I was like, I can do that. I can kick, but literally, it's more than kicking and punching. That's for sure. It's. I mean, the methods that we teach is not about, uh, beating someone up. It really does teach you to have self-control, respect, that kind of thing. Um, so when she started, I thought, oh, I can do that. I can kick. I used to do dance classes, but I really didn't know the extent of it, and here I am 21, 22 years later, still doing it and learning from it. And I'm so thankful that it's in my life, because it really has. I think it the same thing was like getting up every day and doing a Tai Chi or Qigong, or both. it's something that it builds strength within your mind. It just made you getting stronger with whatever it is you're doing in the martial arts is also making you strong in your mind, not only in your body, but in your mind. So it just builds up so much confidence that I don't think that, I think when people quit after like a 3 month, oh, I did karate for 3 months. I don't think that, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Maybe something happened in their life, but if you can keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, you're only going to get stronger in every way.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. So I'm obviously not experienced like you are, but I know as a child, I took it, and we actually lived in
Yeah.
Japan as a child, and so we took a Japanese style of karate,
Yeah.
and we moved to the States. Of course, didn't have the same style, and as things were. My dad was Air Force, so things were just kind of,
Mhm.
you know, they weren't really set where we could, I guess, continue those classes. And you're like, oh, I don't want to
Right.
start over, right? So so I just
Yeah.
didn't continue. But much like you, as an adult, my two boys, when they were younger, wanted to take karate, so I did it for a couple years with them, and I really do miss it. I mean, just life
Yeah. And
circumstances get in the way. And yeah, for sure.
yeah,
I
you know,
loved
uh,
it.
if you can get back to it, great. I mean, we had a student who probably stopped for about 20 years.
Hmm.
He, did as a child and came back 20 years later. So whenever you can begin again, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah,
I,
I always enjoyed it. It really was a place where you're not focused on anything else when you're in class. All you're focusing on is, the power you're putting out, your breathing, and it really is very relaxing and meditative, even though it wears you out and but you feel good afterwards.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's your journey, it's your journey. So, you know, yes, there's competition and everything, but it's really your journey, you know. If someone else is doing something better next to you, that's okay, over
Yeah.
time you'll get better,
Yes.
just keep
Yeah.
practicing, that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So did you kind of gradually make a transition from doing starting out with karate, and did you make a transition over to kind of just incorporating qigong and tai chi? How did that look for you?
I started doing karate first, and then over time, I started doing the Tai Chi classes. But there's people that start in Tai Chi and move over to the, karate or martial arts, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, you just start wherever you start. You know, Tai Chi is a martial art. It's
Hmm.
just slow movements. Uh, Against, karate is more rigid, more straightforward.
Yeah, I was actually surprised to learn that Tai Chi is a self-defense. I didn't realize it was a self-defense
Oh, yes.
art. I thought it was just, like you said, because you think of those slow movements, but the other
Hmm.
Tai Chi practitioner that I talked to, she told me it definitely is a self-defense. I was
It
surprised.
really is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would know. Hidden
Yes.
movement.
Yes, yeah. And so how is Qigong different? So explain Qigong because I'm not really familiar. I think my only familiarity with Qigong is like the meditations that I've heard about or have done.
um, Qigong is, how do you explain it? It's the internal, you're building the internal, um, your internal strength, uh, uh, by connecting with, um, the earth, your body, your spirit. Um, a lot of Qigong is still postures, rather than movements. They're more stationary. Um, you might do a position where you might have your hands out for a length of time, or you're standing in a position. I can't really describe it because I'm in a place where I can't, but just your connection with your feet on the ground, your mind. Um, I don't know how else to explain it to you. It's an experience. I can't
Oh,
hear you.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
there you
I was just,
go.
I'll definitely have to look into that a little bit more. Like I said, I think the only time I've ever heard the term is when I did a meditation in a group I was in one time, and
Mhm.
they kind of went through some different meditative things, and they were like, "Oh, it's a qigong meditation." Okay, but
All right.
I'm not too familiar. Yeah, I'll definitely have to look. So it's just focusing more on the mental aspect and the way you're feeling and stuff like that.
Kind of, sort of.
Okay.
If you do join us on a Saturday, we incorporate the Tai Chi and QiGong in the
Okay. I'm definitely gonna reach out for a class there. I'm definitely
Okay.
gonna do that. So if anyone's listening to, please reach out and we'll
Okay.
definitely include like all the links and everything for
Right,
people to get a
right.
hold of you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you do feng shui, kind of going back to feng shui and stuff like that. So how long have you been practicing, like professionally, that whole thing?
Professionally, for about a year and a half.
Awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
Personally,
A lifetime.
25,
Yeah.
30 years. I know that kind of ages me, but a long time. I have helped out family members, friends, and then, like I said, finally it was, I can get my certification, to make it official, I guess you could say, about a year and a half ago. So that was
Awesome.
really
Yeah.
fun. It was something I wanted to do for a really long time.
So when you do again, kind of going back to I guess the personal energy and stuff like that. When you're doing feng shui for people, do you kind of recommend that they incorporate some of that physical activity? What is your recommendations when you go to somebody's house, and to I guess to address some of that internal energy? And I know I've heard that Tai Chi is supposed to unstick the chi in your body and all kinds of things like that. So, what are your recommendations for people when they come to you and they might feel stuck, or they might be in one of those times in their life when they're going through a lot of things. I feel like a lot of people find feng shui when they're experiencing some things like that in their life.
Right. Well, what I always say to, I don't always say it, I say it to people is, a lot of people start at the end. They, oh, my last resort was feng shui. And really, I think feng shui should be your first call, because I think that people are want to just, uh, they want to put a band-aid on it, on whatever it is that they're going through. Cover it up with a band-aid per se. Let's just, move some furniture around and see what happens. But I think it goes deeper. It's deeper. Why are you having these issues? Where did they stem from? Is it from your childhood? Is it from something that happened, in high school, or a marriage or something? Where did it start? How did you get there? So that's where I tend to go. I go by asking questions, when did this start? Was this something that you've experienced for a long time? Um, that's really how I started that way. And to incorporate, I don't say off the hand, maybe you should think about doing Tai Chi, but uh, we can get there. That's something that, um, if that's something that they're interested in, because you can't just force someone to do usually what is the best thing for them. It takes time to work with people. Some people, they don't want to change. They're happy with, even though they say that they're, something is not right. I don't know what it is. A lot of times people I've found, um, it does take a lot of turns and twists to get to the core of it, because a lot of people don't want to open up, so to incorporate Tai Chi or QiGong is it's definitely what I recommend it, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer for someone to realize that they need that, and they might need that in their life. That's my experience.
Yes, but even though you might not be able to suggest it right off the bat, you still are kind of addressing their personal issues because I mean it's so important. It really is. You know, like I said, I think the common factor in every interview, every person I've talked to, that we do address that internal energy and how we're feeling and everything. And um, and if it really does take a realization to understand a lot of things. So I think for you, that's very intuitive. Also, like you said, I think you mentioned you always felt like you were very intuitive. For you to ask those questions and stuff like that.
Um, and if you're not someone who wants to, I don't want to exercise. I don't want to lift weights. I don't want to go take, an exercise class per se. Just get outside,
Mm-hmm.
walking, every day, take a walk every day, go to the park. There's always something that stirs from the inside, especially when you're outside, it brings what you have in here out. It just releases when you're outside.
Yes. Oh, that's true. I know this past year I've worked, I'm pointing this way because that's my window to my backyard. That's like y'all can
Over
see
here.
it, yeah, over there. Yeah. But this year I was very set on making my yard really nice. And that's one of my favorite things to do is get out in the yard and do yard work. And so if I could share a little bit of personal things, like you said, I think hit on something when you said feng shui is kind of people's last resort. I really do feel like people go through a lot of some things and they don't know where to turn, so they're open to then alternative methods, and putting the band-aids. I think that's very important to kind of address with people that it's we can do the feng shui in our home, but again if we don't address what's going on in here. And I feel like that was kind of reflected what was going on in our home in our yard also.
Yeah, it's like when you come home from a really busy day per se, and you come home and maybe your lawn is overgrown, or you don't have any pretty flowers or whatever it looks like, and if it's not inviting to you, you probably don't want to go on the inside,
Yeah.
and then get on the inside and that's, everything is over here and over there and it just feels so to get outside, start with outside. That's where I tend to start with when you come home. I'm home, yay, it's a beautiful place to arrive to. You go inside, you know, good energy, good chi flow. Um, but
Yeah.
if you start with the inside, that's fine. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if you want to start with something, sometimes starting with the outside can be a little easier for people, you know,
Yeah.
um, because there's so many more. You live in your house. There's so many more things going on in there. When you're on the outside, you feel a little freer. So if you could
Yeah.
start with just a little here, a little there, and you come home like, oh, look at the pretty flowers I planted, and you watch them grow, and it's like, oh, look how nice they are as they're growing. That feels good. Just a little thing like that, you feel accomplished.
Yeah. And that is one thing. I think most of the time when people ask me where to start with feng shui, I always tell them just start with the external. And you don't have to. Some people are like, oh, they don't have a green thumb. That's okay. But I always tell people at least make sure the chi is flowing around your space. Everything's a good repair. There's not trash piled somewhere. Those are the things you want to make sure of. So, yeah,
Can
even
you actually go outside and pull only one weed? No. It's like you pull one and you start pulling another, and then all of a sudden it looks so much better.
hmm.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That was one of my goals this year was to get the weeds out of my yard.
yeah.
So I've
Can you eat this one Cheeto?
yeah, true. Like, yeah, that's true. That's true. You got to keep going, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do feel like that about my yard now that you say that. Yeah, just keep going on it.
Go outside and try and pull one weed. Let's see if you can do it. No, I gotta pull another one.
What I do want you to share is, so again, talking about those clients and the family, friends, and everything, I
Mhm.
think sometimes that's the time we see feng shui make the biggest impact in our lives, our friends' lives, our family's life, because we see it firsthand or we're right there. Would you want to share your favorite feng shui story, your favorite, like, wow moment, where you felt like feng shui really
A
made an
couple,
impact?
but the biggest one recently was during the pandemic. A friend of mine, very good friend of mine, uh, was first of all going through a really bad divorce, and she also uh, would ask me to come to her place of employment. So I went over there and took out my little notepad and drawing my, the way the office was all set up and buildings. And uh, at the same time, I was also helping stage her home. Like I said, she was going through this divorce, and so I helped her with staging the home. Her home in the midst of all of this sold probably within a day or two. Like, got a contract really, really quick. And then with her office building and her office, um, I went in and we talked. It was a pretty big project. Um, but as I'm doing that and we're talking and she's telling me that, she's not really sure if she wants to stay at this job, she is thinking about moving to a state where her grown kids are, and she wants to be closer to them. So anyway, her house sells. She ends up moving in with my husband and I. And then over like maybe a week, she, puts her resume, she decides, well, I'm going to put my resume out a little bit here and there. Probably within 24 hours, she's on with these interviews with this company. Um, I think she had like 5 or 6 interviews with them. Uh, she gets the job. She, so she sold her house, gets a new job. She then moves to the new state, gets set up there. This is all during the pandemic. Um, and then she meets her now boyfriend. And as of like, I think the beginning of this month, they moved in together.
Oh,
So it was just,
okay.
we talked about what she wanted to do. We figured out, helped her figure out some things. Um, and once you start putting that energy out into the universe, if that's what you really, really want, it's going to happen. You know, you're writing down what you want. You're talking about what you want, and then if it's right, if it's the right thing, and you're putting that intention out there, it will happen. So that's a really big one. I'm so happy for her. She's doing so well. Uh, she met a really great person, and she's got a wonderful job. She lives in a great place, and so she got everything she wanted. I think that's a great story. Even if I wasn't involved, if that happened, it's still a great story. You know what I mean? You
Yes.
want the best for everybody. You want the best for people.
Yeah.
That was a really big one. I really enjoyed that one.
That's
Not,
awesome.
a really good friend, and so you like to see your friends and family flourish.
Yes. Yeah, I love when I love these stories, and that's one of the reasons I want to do the interviews, because I want to show people, like, hey, it really works. And I think a big point you made also is that, she kind of didn't really know at first, and you helped her get that clarity. And that is really
Mhm,
important also, because like you said, when you're really clear about what you want, and you put that intention out there, and then you can do things like boost your environment, you can do your feng shui, you can incorporate the mindfulness and everything like that, and then it'll works together. Probably also like you and your husband too, like you said, you weren't really sure where you were going to do what you were going to do, where,
mhm,
yeah. And so just kind of having that clarity, it helps the universe to kind of conspire with you to make things happen.
mhm.
Yeah.
This is what's gonna happen.
Yes. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, my daughter, I helped her with her career area, and her helpful people areas as well. So I that really blew up. That was something. She's like, Mom, I have so many things going on, And I said, this is great. This is what you asked for, And so maybe, you don't take all the opportunities, but you can pick and choose which ones that you want, because, you're just getting, oh, I don't, well, I don't want that one, or, so she really had a lot of opportunities, a lot of career things come up for her. And it's good to have options.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really true. It was funny. I'm right now taking a class with the master in Singapore. And so he has this group of students and he has us do like Feng Shui activations. And one of the activations he had us do, it was for, career and wealth, And one
Mhm.
of the other students on there was like, how do I deactivate it? Because I have too many opportunities now. And so, I mean, that's a good problem to have. So, life won't be full of problems, but I think the goal is to have better problems, like, instead of not
Yeah,
having any job prospects, like, oh, I have too many now. So, so
right.
that's
Oh,
awesome.
you poor
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Oh, darn. Yeah. I have too many opportunities now. Yeah. So it can definitely work that way. Yeah. He was like, how do I deactivate now? Like, how do I tone it down a little bit?
Right. Put a
And
hat
so,
on it.
yeah, cap it down a little bit, cap that energy. So,
Yeah.
so Carolyn, tell us a little bit about what you have to offer. So you guys also, so you do online classes for martial arts also? Tell us,
Mhm.
yeah, talk about that. I'd love for people to be able to get a hold of you if they're interested.
It's pretty much the same as the Tai Chi. You just show up for class.
Awesome. Mhm.
Yeah, it's pretty much like Tai Chi. You just come to class, and I don't know what else I can say about it. I mean, if someone contacts us, we can certainly help you figure out, the schedule that would be good for you. Um, you know, if that's something, if it's something that's going to fit into your schedule, if you want to come once, twice, 3 times a week, um, that's something that can be discussed. It really just depends on the student.
So I think probably the best way would be for somebody just to get a hold of you, which will have all the contact information
Mhm.
in all the links and everything below and all the show notes.
Mhm.
And so yeah, so I would encourage anyone that are interested in martial arts, Tai Chi and QiGong, or Feng Shui, please contact
Mhm.
Carolyn and yeah, so we'll have all that link below. Just get right in contact with her. It's been so nice having you on. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care. Well, one of the projects I'm working on currently is one of my own projects, and that would be cleaning out like old photos and scrapbooks, albums, and that's something I've been wanting to do for a really long time. And so I said, oh, when I move to the new house, that's something I'm going to work on. So I've been working on it since the beginning of June, just organizing photos, and kind of moved into something bigger than what I thought. But it's I think at the end of the project, it definitely will feel lighter, more organized. Sometimes when you have ancestry uh, things, like you know people who have passed in your home, in your life, um, you tend to hold on to some of those things, and once you work through them and organize them, you start to understand them better, yourself better, and just really just lightens the load. It You connect with them and you move on. It's kind of healing, to uh, clean out old photos from maybe loved ones. So that's something I've been working on.
It can be a really big project.
Mhm.
I have a little bit of guilt from from my grandma passed away. I think I'm trying to think, maybe 10 years ago,
Mhm.
and she's, you know, of course, all her stuff, you know, and there's some things in my storage unit that I'm remembering from her. And, you know, I have some statues and figurines and some things. And
Mhm.
you almost have like a little bit of guilt of getting rid of some of that because you're like,
Right.
this is part of my memory of that person. And
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah.
Once you go through it and you look at it and you say, do I want it? Is there someone I can give it to? At least you've acknowledged it and you can move on. And it really is healing.
With you practice BTB Feng Shui, is that correct? Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I know that a lot of that relies on intuition. And although classical Feng Shui, which is what I practice, you know, it's very much about the setup of the space and the Feng Shui formulas, you know.
Mhm.
But you can't, you know, disagree that somebody that has a super cluttered home, or it's messy, or, you know, or they're going through depression, and they, you know, you've seen somebody's home probably that is suffering with depression, and like they
Mhm.
can't clean, they just can't. And so it is reflected in the external. And I felt like my yard was like that. We've had family issues, you know, that's why I started doing Feng Shui. And
Right.
it's the last thing I feel like that was needed to be addressed by me was my yard. And I really do feel like getting out in that space and getting the fresh air, moving around. I love cutting the grass. I mean, you know, and all
Mhm.
that, playing, you
Right.
know, watching the
Therapeutic.
little butterflies.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I will say, I think Tai Chi is a good exercise for people who don't want to exercise. I'll add that in though. I think that's a good one for people because it's such light movement. It's such easy movements. There's even seated one, you know, they can do it in a chair. So yeah,
Mhm.
I think Tai Chi is the perfect exercise for people who don't who don't necessarily want the exercise or want to have to do it all. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's a little easier, but you can break a sweat.
yes. To find the guest featured here today, be sure to check the show notes below. To support the channel, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit that little notification button so you can be alerted when new videos come out. To learn more about Feng Shui and Chinese metaphysics, visit learnfengshui.com.